everyone, welcome back to Aloha State Debate. My name is Ash. I'm a sophomore and a second-year Lincoln Douglas debater, current Hawaii State champion for novice, about to enter my first varsity debate season. In today's video, we're going to cover the topic of offense and defense, which I believe to be one of the most fundamental principles of debate. I'll start by defining those terms, then we'll go over why we use them, how you can use them, and ultimately how they affect whether or not you win the round. I'm not going to go too in-depth into the structure of any of these speeches. That's an entirely different video unto itself. Rather, I'm just going to go over what these arguments are, what their types are, and how they can help you win a round. This video is aimed at a really general audience, whether you're LD, PF, even policy, whichever, these concepts are going to be useful to you in any debate setting. Knowing what kinds of arguments are being made, both by you and your opponent, is super important. Not only does it give you a better grasp of what's happening in the debate round, but it also tells you what you need to worry about, because it tells you what the judges should and are going to care about. Offense and defense are basically a system of categorizing these things. Okay, what do I need to worry about? Why do I need to worry about it? So let's start with offense, which is reasons why the judge should vote for you. This is the most important one. Let's say I'm on the affirmative for the resolution, we should eat ice cream. My case has contention 1, which is the taste contention, which is we should eat ice cream because ice cream is delicious. We should eat things that are delicious, therefore we should eat ice cream. This is an example of an offensive argument. It's a direct reason why the judge should cast their ballot for you. Offense isn't only why your side is good, it can also be why your opponent's side is actively harmful. Going back to our ice cream example, I can say something like, ice cream is food, and without food, we'll be hungry, and being hungry is bad. So the neg is automatically making us hungry, which is a terrible thing, therefore we should eat ice cream. Here I'm saying that the neg side is actively harming you. I'm not talking about the benefits of eating ice cream, I'm talking about the deficits of not eating ice cream. And that still constitutes an offensive argument. Now, on the flip side, defense is why your opponent's offense is bad. Don't get that mixed up with negative offense. Negative offense is saying that your opponent's side is actively harmful, therefore you should vote for me. That's still offense. Defense is just saying that your opponent's reasons to vote for them aren't actually good reasons. Defense is probably only ever going to be responses. I mean, technically you can put them in your case, but generally it's not a really good idea because, think about it, defense isn't really a reason to vote for your side. Like, for example, going back to our ice cream argument, Af says, we should eat ice cream because it's going to feed us and we need food. Neg can respond by saying something along the lines of, oh, we can get food from other sources. That's not necessarily a reason why we shouldn't eat ice cream. That's just a reason why Af's reason that we should eat ice cream is bad. Your case should be entirely offensive because number 1, offense is the most important argumentative principle in debate, and number 2, including defense for an argument that you don't really know whether or not it's going to be made yet, especially if you're on Af. If you're on neg, it's a little bit more understandable, but still, like, you can just put that into your responses. That being said, even though defense is going to be all responses, that doesn't mean all responses are going to be defense. There are offensive responses to arguments. You may have heard the term for this, it's called a turn. There are a few different types of turns and a bunch of vocabulary around them, which honestly merit an entirely separate video unto themselves. But I'm just gonna go over the basics here. Turns are saying that your opponent's argument and their logic and their evidence actually works in your favor. Let's go back to the ice cream example. Af has a contention saying that ice cream is tasty and we should eat things that are tasty, therefore we should eat ice cream. Neg can respond by saying, actually, ice cream is disgusting, and based on my opponent's logic that says we should eat things that are tasty, we should eat something that is tasty that isn't ice cream. Therefore, we don't eat ice cream, therefore we negate the resolution. That's not just a reason why Af's offense is bad. That is very clearly an offensive argument of why the judge should vote for the negative. Generally, from my experiences, which admittedly are limited, responses are going to be mostly defense and only a few turns here and there, which means that your case should, again, carry all of your offense. It should be entirely offensive because it's supposed to extend all the way to your impacts. Segue 2, impacts and collapsing. Let's say my ice cream case has 3 contentions: taste, hunger, and socialization, I don't know. Now, let's say that in the second to last speech, 2NR, Neg starts spreading all of this evidence, 3 whole rebuttals against the taste contention, 2 against the socialization contention, and 1 against the hunger contention. If the neg is spreading like that in a 3-minute speech, I as the affirmative do not have time to go over every single response that neg gave me. Remember, I have 30 seconds at max to respond to each point, and that's not even including telling the judge what the impacts are. We'll get to that in a second. Instead, I have to drop a lot of things. So let's say their 3 responses to the taste contention were all defensive arguments. Because that's not offense for my opponent, then I can just drop that contention if I don't want to respond to all 3 points. And let's say I don't really have a solid response to their rebuttals on the socialization contention either. But I have rebuttal docs from before the tournament, and I know that the evidence that they used in their rebuttal against the hunger contention is terrible, and I know exactly how to rebut it. Instead of spending 30 seconds rebutting each individual rebuttal line by line in a huge time crunch, you should just go for that one thing. Suddenly, I have offense again. Remember the fact that my taste contention and my socialization contention just have defensive responses on them. The fact that I conceded to the defensive responses doesn't mean that my opponent has offense because of that. It doesn't mean that my judge should vote for my opponent. It's just a reason why the judge shouldn't vote for me on those specific issues. So if I just have a really clean response with the hunger contention and I flesh it out and I back it up really, really well, I still have a pretty good chance of winning this round. This is called collapsing, where you look at all of the points that you initially said in your case and ask yourself at the end of the debate, which one of these can I extend out all the way to the end of the debate as the 1 or 2 or sometimes even 3 pieces of offense that I'm going to win this debate on. Collapsing is especially important for the affirmative because remember, you have 4 minutes to respond to a 7-minute speech, and you have 3 minutes to respond to a 6-minute speech. Through collapsing, offense turns into a usable impact. Now, an impact is basically the end of the link chain. You say one thing and then you link it to the next thing, then the next, and the next, until you get to the final link in the chain, the one thing that you think the chain should end at, because that says what is good, what is bad. It ties to the framework and it talks about why your judge should vote for you. This is the terminal impact of a piece of offense. Make your impact as clear as possible, and I cannot stress this enough. Instead of spending 30 seconds trying to rebut an argument, extend a contention, and turn it into a viable impact for your judge for 6 different arguments, instead, why don't you just extend out the one thing, spend all 3 minutes talking about, hey, this impact is the most important thing. If we don't eat ice cream now, we're going to starve and we might die because of it. You don't have to go that far. Personally, I like to do that, and I think there's some amount of merit to it. Like, for example, in a circuit like Hawaii, where everybody is a lay judge, and let's be honest, most of our judges don't know what the hell they're doing. They have 0 knowledge about the debate. They don't know who's winning technically a lot of the time, which is why you have to be clear, act like you're winning, while also working on the logic side of things. Now, sometimes you can't collapse a certain contention. So the collapsing that I did earlier was just getting rid of contentions with tons of defense on them. If there's a turn on a contention though, that's not just an unusable contention to me. No, that's offense for my opponent. I can't just concede to their offense because that means I'm conceding to their argument as to why they should win the debate. So when you're in the tail end of the debate and you're thinking about what things to collapse, what to concede, be careful because you need to be able to tell the difference between a defensive and offensive response. Because if there's a turn on a contention that you concede, people are gonna notice that, and people are gonna know that that is active offense for your opponent, and they're going to win. Now, if you don't have a solid rebuttal to the turn, you could do something called impact weighing, which is an entirely different video unto itself. Basically, it's the idea of saying, okay, I can see that this happens, but my other thing that's also my piece of offense is just more important. Saves more people, lasts a longer amount of time, supports the economy more, whatever. Offense and defense seem kind of pedantic at first, but hopefully have shown you through this video just how important these principles are. Offense and defense are foundational, and 95% of the things that you learn in debate are going to be based on them. Even in this YouTube channel, without watching this video, you probably can't get very far, and this is geared towards beginners and novices. In this video, you'll learn that offense is reasons that judges should vote for you, and that defense is why your opponent's offense doesn't work. Cases should be offensive and all responses are defensive. However, there can be offensive responses. Those are called turns, which basically use your opponent's evidence in your favor. When you condense all of your offense from the entire round into the most important things at the end of the debate, that's called collapsing. Offense and defense are central, fundamental to debate, and by watching this video, you've done yourself a pretty good service so that you can go on and learn pretty much every other major facet of debate. If you enjoyed this video, then make sure to leave a like, subscribe, and share it with a debater in need. A lot of this stuff came from things that I learned at debate camp. I went to the Victor Briefs Institute camp, and I highly recommend the experience. If you want to get good at debate and you have the means to go there, then by all means, please do it. It's so worth your time. But again, thank you very much for watching this video, and happy debating? I don't really know what to do for the outro of this chat. Just bye!